Welcome to an advanced series of video tutorials on iPod repair. This video is going to show you how to replace a battery on an iPod Nano. Now before we begin, this is for advanced users only. You have to have some skills of wiring and working with basic electronics. If you don't, please do not attempt this and seek the help of a professional. Okay, let's get started. The first thing you're going to need is your iPod Nano. This particular iPod Nano is a second generation. However, this technique will work for all iPod Nanos from 1, 2 to 3 to 4th generations. Next thing you're going to need is an iPod Nano battery and a replacement kit. It usually comes with the battery and 2 tools, as you can see here. Now what you have to do is you take the tool with the wide edge that they give you in the kit, and you take this tool and stick it between the seam of the chrome backing and the top part of the iPod Nano. There is a seam. It is very tight. If you can't get it with the tool, you can also use a guitar pick. You take the edge and you stick it in this seam. You have to force it in. I usually start from here, the lower right hand corner, and then once I get that between that groove, I get the edge between the seam, I slowly slide it all the way across, like I'm showing you with my cursor, 360 degrees. I go all the way around, and then it just starts to break open. You feel the tabs inside. There's a bunch of plastic tabs, and they break open, and then you can separate the two parts. Once you separate the two parts, the chrome backing will look like this, and the top part will come off like that. Now when you get you turn the iPod over, and you're going to see the logic board. The logic board is right here. I'm pointing to it. You can call it motherboard or circuit board. It's really called the logic board. Some people call it differently. And over here is the battery, which I'm pointing to right here. Now this battery you basically have to remove with one of the tools. I'll go back to show you. It's going to be this one with the narrow edge. And what you do is you gently lift it out. Now sometimes these batteries are connected with an adhesive, so maybe a little bit hard, but don't be too rough, and try not to use much of the logic board as a leverage, because you don't want to crack the logic board. So you may want to try from this corner, and then a little bit from the other corner, and then a little bit from this corner, eventually until it just pries loose. And once it does, then you have 2 options to remove the battery. Now these wires, as you can see over here, there's 3 of them. There's 3 wires. They're connected to the logic board with solder. Now if you have soldering skills, and you have to have very good soldering skills, I emphasize very good soldering skills, you can release the battery. Here's another picture of it. As you can see right here in the corner, you see these are the edges that are soldered. You can rest the soldering iron's tip towards this edge right here. I happen to have soldering skills because I worked with electronics for years, and once you rest it down, it'll melt the solder and you'll be able to release the wire. But you have to be very careful. As you can see, you see all these connections. If you get it too hot, or if you slip, you can damage one of these connections, or they may touch each other as a result of the melted area, and you'll have a short circuit, and that's not what you want. So what I recommend is, here's the easier way, and the safer way would be to just cut the wires. You have 3 wires here. You cut this one, that one, and that one. You basically cut them, and then after you cut them, you splice them with a razor blade, which you use to open boxes, that type of blade. Make sure it's new and very sharp. And when you splice it, use something as a base so you don't cut your finger. Remember, you have to cut these so they're going to be loose, and then you splice them. And once they're spliced, then what you do is you basically twist them together. Again, this side is spliced, that side is going to be cut, this side is going to be cut, spliced, 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 spliced. Then what you do is you twist them together. After you twist them together, what you're going to have to do is take a very small piece of electrical UL certified tape. And I say very small because we can't have too much in there. It's a very tiny area. We don't want to have anything that's going to be bulky in there to prevent it from closing up again. And just cover each individual wire that's connected with electrical tape. After they're all covered separately with the electrical tape, you're going to see these little pieces of tape which are right in front of you. These are insulation tape which holds the wires to the logic board. You can use these again. You don't have to throw them away. They still have a lot of adhesive on them. After you connect each individual wire with electrical tape, use the same insulation tape to ground the wires and to hold them down against the logic board. This way they won't move around while inside the unit. Now once those connections are made, they'll be stable. Make sure when you connect the wires, all you have to do is basically just match the colors. So in this case, white would go to white, orange would go to orange, and black would go to black. The wire colors may vary depending on the iPod. Next thing you have to do is just align the whole switch to allow you to close the iPod back up. And you basically just have to take the top part and the bottom part, and to connect it is pretty easy. You just basically take the two parts and just press them together with your thumb and your finger and your index finger, and you're gonna feel it and hear it snap shut. And once you do that, all you have to do is just plug your iPod in to the wall charger, charge it up, and it should work like new. So if you have any questions, please ask. Any comments, please leave them below the video, and thank you for tuning in.